What happens when someone spends nearly 2 decades witnessing trauma every single day and then becomes a therapist helping people heal from it? This episode, I'm joined by former law enforcement officer turned therapist Patricia Castello, and we're diving into the hidden trauma first responders carry, while some people heal while others stay stuck, and the powerful difference between EMDR, hypnotherapy, and holistic healing approaches. This conversation goes deep in trauma, the nervous system, subconscious healing, and what actually helps people begin to feel safe again.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Lunar Counseling Podcast. I'm your host, Kiara Brown, an LPC, EMDR-certified therapist, certified hypnotherapist, and the owner of Lunar Counseling. This podcast is a space for grounded, real conversations with therapists, healers, and guides for the deeper layers of mental health, trauma, embodiment, and what it truly means to heal in integrated and sustainable ways. Today, I am so excited to welcome Patricia Castello to the podcast. Castillo, not Castillo. Sorry.
No problem,
Patricia
no problem.
Patricia brings a truly unique perspective to the healing field. Before becoming a therapist, she spent 19 years in law enforcement, serving in municipal, state, and federal assignments. During the time, she held a wide range of specialized roles, including school resource officer, hostage negotiator, crisis and intervention specialist, sexual assault victim advocate, investigator, and active shooter rapid response responder, among many others. She also trained in areas such as drug interdiction, post-blast analysis, tactical vehicle dynamics, and FBI behavioral science research, getting deep insight into trauma, crisis response, and human behavior under extreme stress. After retiring from law enforcement, she followed a new calling into the mental health field and is now an LPC in private practice at Second Wind Life Services in Summerville, South Carolina. Over the past decade as a counselor, she has continued to expand her expertise with training in DBT, trauma-focused CBT, first responder counseling, sports psychology, integrative health and nutrition for mental health, and human sexuality. She's also a certified hypnotherapist and Reiki master, bringing together clinical training with holistic approaches to support clients in their healing and personal growth. Outside her professional work, she enjoys spending time with her husband, 29 years, and their adult daughters, along with her 3 beloved fur babies, 2 dogs, and a cat. She loves thrifting, reading, being outdoors, and discovering new fun adventures. So I'm so excited to have you here. I'm sure you have a huge wealth of knowledge to share with us today, so I'm so excited.
I'm excited too.
So you had a whole life before being in a therapy world. So what really brought you here?
Or what brought me to therapy is it was a multitude of things really, but I kept seeing the same people get into trouble as a police officer, and I just thought, boy, there has to be some other option for these individuals. Like are they not talking to anyone? Do they have no outlet? And then one of the worst things that could happen is I had a friend involved in a shooting, and he went downhill very quickly. Whereas there's several people on scene, he just, it seemed like he wasn't going to recover. He has since recovered. He has removed himself from law enforcement. He's doing all kinds of different things. I personally haven't talked to him in quite some time, but watching his decline in comparison to other people on scene that was interesting because, of course, we assume everybody's going to have the same reaction. And especially from someone who had not had a lot of mental health education at that point, I thought, boy, this is crazy. It was really wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that is intense. Like seeing like one of your friends have that experience after being in a shooting and be like, okay, why is he have this reaction whenever everyone else isn't? And it's like, what are factors that participate all of that? You can only imagine like how it felt for you because when we were questioning all the things that are going on.
Yeah, and I saw a lot. I had two suicides early in my career, and I didn't really know the individuals, but it was very early on as in law enforcement that there were 2 individuals that I was associated with. I knew of their presence, more of like an acquaintance, but 2 suicides in the first couple years of me being in law enforcement, and I just it was interesting. I hadn't personally dealt with a lot of suicide growing up, or I dealt with a lot of mental health now that I have hindsight's 2020. But suicide I hadn't, and the PTSD I hadn't. And so to just see all the different elements of that from the victim, from the offender, believe it or not, offenders do have trauma too. And then, of course, our first responders is pretty big.
That is huge because like they also, I'm assuming, not assuming, but the kind of like the vicarious trauma that comes with being in the situations day in and day out, like having to cope with all of it, seeing horrific things, especially like with homicides, anything with children, like all that stuff can be like super intense, like on a
Yeah. Oh,
daily
yeah.
basis.
I saw on social media now, of course, let's discount that to the state that it is, but I researched it a little bit, very little, but it basically the statement was the average human citizen has something like 2 to 5 traumatic events in their lifetime, whereas a police officer and or first responder, they focus on police officers, but I know from working with EMTs and that number's high, but they said it's something like 500 in a lifetime. And I thought, wow, that's a really huge number. But then I thought about my career, and it doesn't, and of course, trauma is perceptual. So you and I are in a car accident, and I may drive the next day, and you might say, I can't get in this car for 6 months. So that's the other issue with that is we have what is trauma to you and what is traumatic. And when I saw that number, I was like, my gosh, but in thinking about it, I was like, yeah, I probably have close to 200 episodes myself that I can refer back to in my law enforcement career.
Yeah. So again, so it's kind of like you saw so much in law enforcement that you were like, okay, I want to be the person that understands that world and they can help those individuals heal someone who gets it and not feel like they have to sugarcoat it with like other people.
No, there's a lot of statistics about offenders. They're not healed, and that's why they're going out and offending on other people. And the first thing I think of is sexual traumas. We see that most of those individuals had some kind of trauma and or sexual trauma in their background before they committed their own offenses. And so if we can help people heal, we will have less crime. We'll have more opportunities for people. Will there be less domestic violence? An unhappy person creates unhappy relationships. Yeah. So I wanted to really tap into all areas, the victims, the offenders, the first responders.
Nice. So how are you able to separate the person like that was the offender from like their act versus like them as a human being?
Yeah, I think that I learned that early on as a police officer. When you're interrogating someone or you're interviewing someone, then you have to create a connection for them to feel safe enough to give a confession. And so that idea that we make human connection is the key, right? So we make this human connection with an individual and the amazing things that can happen after that, right? We can have a confession. We can have healing in a therapy room. And I think that's what I just always think about is I may have an awful person in front of me as far as the activities that they've done, but they're still a human and maybe there's potential. Have I been around people that I feel like there's no potential, that this is a very serious issue and they're not going to get to a place of healing and safety? Absolutely, both in law enforcement and in therapy. I have seen that, felt that, heard it. And so separating, I think, is just hope, I guess is the way I'll put it. It's just a matter of hope.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Because like, obviously, we want to see the best in everyone. We want people to heal. We want them to be their fullest version of themselves. But like again, sometimes there are things that are like broken beyond what we can do in a therapy space sometimes. So
Yeah.
in those instances, with both your backgrounds, what do you feel is your like most common response in those moments when someone's like really gone?
I think that for me, I immediately switch into like safety mode. So as a therapist, when I am getting the sense like this is beyond repair, so we've got something big here, I immediately think of, okay, my safety. I don't need this person coming in here once a week or showing up at my office so I try and take the steps to, one, get them the next level of help. I'm a solo private practice. I'm turning into a group as of like right now. But prior to this, I was a solo. And I don't need to be in a position where something's going to happen to one of us. So immediately that safety idea. Also, I cannot provide them the resources that they would need if they have a high level, a severe level mental health diagnosis. So I immediately think of referring. What's a
Right.
good program that has more than just one female therapist available to them that can provide them meds, maybe even get them into an inpatient facility, just
Yeah.
all kinds of things, right? But the safety switch usually is the first thing that flips. And I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to make sure that I am not this person's counselor anymore? Because I am not in the safest place.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because definitely so important, especially if you're seeing people like in person. Like it's a little bit easier like virtually because if they're gonna have to be ready, you can call the police, be like, hey, like this person is going erratic, you need to go get them, and then you can like instantly catch yourself because like you're not in their space. But in person, yeah, it's a lot scarier. That's actually partially why I'm not in person because I don't want to risk happening.
Yeah, I
Same
think
home.
also you have to take your environment into account, right? It's so
Yeah,
if you are in a very rural place and people have to drive several 15 or more miles to get to you, so does first responders.
yeah,
So these are things you have to think about. It's funny because on the 27th of this month, I'm giving a safety brief talk to therapists in our state. And that's one of the things I'm going to cover. Sometimes telehealth is the option because of safety. And I'm not a fan of telehealth personally, but I do have telehealth clients because some people physically need it. They can't get in a car and drive to me. But that's something to think about is if I'm rural and a first responder's not going to get to me in 30 minutes, then that's 30 minutes of me having to worry about, am I going to stay alive? Am I going to keep this person alive? I don't know. It could be as simple as they have a seizure. It doesn't have to be safety,
yeah,
like criminal safety. It could be health safety. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good point you make.
Yeah, and I have had self-defense is my parents made me. Whenever I joined the field, they made me get self-defense training.
That's
But
good.
not
That's
every
good.
therapist has that. So if someone were to be like aggressive, I would know how to defend myself. But also it's like I'm also ingrained in therapists that we're not supposed to touch clients, we're not supposed to do all these things. So it's like that dichotomy that we have is almost like, I can't touch you, but now you're being aggressive towards me. And it's like this weird balance with those things.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I have given in safety classes briefings before is ultimately we have to make a determination upon their action. How serious is this? So if it's like, if they've already laid hands on me, then all bets are off. If they're just making verbal accusations or jabs and maybe some threats, then we might be able to talk ourselves to a different place. But that idea of, so we have to learn how fast do we move and when do we abandon the idea that I can't lay hands on them or I shouldn't say or do these things. But it's a safety thing. It's just like in police work.
Yeah.
There's levels. And so if they yell at me, whatever, we figure it out. If you lay hands on me, now we're in a different zone.
Yeah, that's very true. Because like And once they cross that barrier, then okay, now you become like the aggressor. And now
Well, even a verbal threat, right? I don't know. I haven't had personally a lot of this with, I did have a therapist friend whose client said something like, next time I'm in here, I think I'm going to smack you or something like that. It was very pointed, but it wasn't like, I'm going to kill you. And she was very new. So she said, I just canceled their next appointment because now we're in a place. But that is, again, it's what do they mean by that? What do we do with it? But that verbal threat, that's enough to take action by law too in most states.
yeah. At the very least, like switching from like a person to telehealth, be like, yeah, we're not being in the same space until this is resolved.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I have had therapist friends do that with their clients. They were seeing them in person, something quirky happened, and they opted to do telehealth with them from that point forward. Again, that idea of I'm alone, I need some level of safety outside of just me and this client. And if you see people who are like, I do sports performance counseling, these people are in shape. Like they're
Yeah.
far better than me and they're athletes. And so we have to think about that too, right? It's if they jump on me, can I really get them off? Some people I can, some people I can't.
I have a lot of male clients, and I'm not, if I were to see the person, I'm not concerned about them. But if something were to switch, I'm 5'3". Most of them are over 6 foot. I'm like, I know it's self-defense, but that's still a lot of person to try and
That's
do
right.
something with.
That's again something we have to consider and think about. And I talk about this with real estate agents. I talk about this with anyone who massage therapists, anyone who's in a room by themselves with another human being that is kind of a private situation. They have to be careful. Like we have to think of size difference. We have to think of, is this person trained in something special? Are they a wrestler or jujitsu or all of those things are factors.
Yeah, definitely.
But we have a leg up because we know, because we've interviewed them.
Yeah, they're sure. And we definitely, we know their ins and outs.
Yeah.
So like with like other people you've worked with, how do you incorporate like your Reiki and hypnotherapy in with them to help mediate anything that's breaking?
You said, how do I incorporate Reiki?
Yeah, your Reiki and like your hypnotherapy with them. And
Yeah. When I'm seeing that and we all have these clients as mental health therapists, we all have these clients where it's like, I ask a question, it's an open-ended question, and they give me yes, no. But it's an open-ended question because now you're expecting 2 or 3 sentences, but you're getting one word. And so those individuals, that's where I'm like, okay, maybe they need something more. I have difficulty with individuals that think it could be helpful, right? I have a lot of people who are like, no. And then when I explain it to them, okay, like Reiki is energy and we can look at your energy. And of course, that's something there's a whole liability and informed consent thing that goes on there. But outside of that, I talk about it's energy. We are energy. And you're hopefully, if you're relaxed enough or you're willing to, you lay on a table. And I have something called a biomat, which is, it's like a heating pad with crystals in it, right? And so each section has crystals that coordinate with that chakra. And so that is something that is a factor here, right? It's your energy flows. I have to close my door.
okay,
I left it open because I didn't think anybody was going to be here. And then I'm so sorry.
okay,
I just saw my partner pull in. And so I convinced them that these are things that they would feel relaxed, right? And so one of the things that's missing in most humans is that relaxation and calmness, right?
yeah,
And so if you could just lay on a table for 30 minutes and I don't touch you and I just talk nice and we talk through that and you have a nice biomat, you have I convince them in that way. There are people, there's no way. I'll say, hey, have you ever thought about Reiki? And nope. And I even have brochures that I give people to explain what Reiki is, that it's used in hospitals, that it's, there are just people who will always say no. So the incorporation of it is really determinant on, are they willing? And then there's a few trainings out there for psychotherapeutic Reiki. And I personally have never done one of those trainings, but I am a psychotherapist and I'm a Reiki master. So it's easy for that corporation to come together. And I just simply ask them the same questions that I would ask if they were sitting in front of me. But now we're doing it on a table and I am holding their energy and seeing how things come and go. And then with hypnotherapy, the biggest key with hypnotherapy is I tell them it's like accelerated therapy. So it's what we do in 4 sessions, you can do in 1. If it goes well, right? My key to them is your subconscious takes us where we need to go. I don't say we're going there. I don't have that kind of power. All I do is provide the questions and the suggestions. And then we end up. So a lot of more people are apt to do hypnotherapy rather than Reiki, because Reiki feels, to a lot of people, it feels like voodoo hoodoo. And hypnotherapy seems more acceptable because you're still talking. You're still going to remember everything, right? And so it doesn't feel weird. And to me, it just depends on the person. But I don't have a Reiki table. I don't typically have it set up ready to go because most people, honestly, they tell me no. But I am doing more with that. And I'm trying to discover different ways to present it to people, but also advertising it directly as like psychotherapeutic Reiki, right? You get a therapy session, you're just relaxing on a nice hot pad with good feeling, like blankets and pillows, and seeing what they'll do. But not everybody jumps on board.
And definitely, it does. A lot of people are having a hard time with it. It's definitely becoming more acceptable in some areas, but it's definitely still like a struggle for some people. I have a client where I said, I'm certified in hypnotherapy now. We can try this and it can really help you. And he's like, no, I don't believe in it. Like, it's magic. I'm like, it's not magic. It's just me getting in touch with getting you in touch with your subconscious and letting your mind and body get reconnected. But like you said, no, so we won't do it. But it's actually funny too. I had a hypnotherapy session with someone last weekend, and just like basic relaxation, like no, like really diving in, just like her experience what it's like to be like really relaxed because she's always teed up. At the end of it, she's like, I didn't believe this was gonna work. I honestly thought you were lying to me and this wasn't going to work. And she was at the time, I was relaxed for that long. I'm like, yeah, you were. And you got deep really fast.
After I became certified, because of course, when you go through any class, any good class, you are hypnotized. You go through sessions. You watch your classmates go through it. So I tell people it's like over my class was like 8 days. Over an 8-day period, I'm watching amazing things with my classmates and myself. And as soon as I finished the class and I said, I don't know why people are not lined up outside hypnotherapy houses because of the amazing work that can happen. And we get to watch it as hypnotherapists, and I'm sure you have seen this.
Yeah.
We get to watch healing in like real time in a short period. And this is amazing.
I love hypnotherapy way more than I love EMDR.
So someone explained it to me as hypnotherapy is the father, EMDR is like the little son. And it's good that it does things, but it does not go as deep. And it's not as, what's the word they used? I can't think of it now, but essentially not as healing in a quicker period of time. I am not trained or certified in EMDR. I've never had it done to me. So I can't really speak positive or negative on it. But I know people that are say amazing things, and then I've had clients that have come to me that they've had really horrible experiences. But I think that's true with any modality.
Yeah.
And it just like in every profession, we have good and we have bad. And so that's part of it. But I would like to experience for myself, I would like to experience EMDR at least once just to say I know what it was like. But are you EMDR
Yeah,
certified?
EMDR certified.
Nice, nice. And so
Yeah, I
you
did that.
do for yourself, you like the hypnotherapy better than EMDR.
Yeah. So I got the certification with EMDR first. And it does work. It does help people. It's you have to know where you're going with EMDR, and not everyone knows where they need to go. Not everyone knows to touch that memories. That's where I'm like, okay, that's why it does it better, because it's like your mind and your body bring you where you need to go. We touch on what their body really wants to touch on, or like them consciously knowing up here, their body and subconscious like really gets in touch with them. Yes, this is where we need to go. This is what we need to heal. So that's why I feel like it's deeper and more effective, because you're really targeting what your body needs in that moment.
I like that. I'm going to use that. I'm going to steal that for my clients who are like, why do I want, because I actually had a client, it was about 2 weeks ago, asked me if I could refer them to EMDR therapists. And we have several in our area. And I said, yeah, of course I can. But let me talk to you about hypnotherapy. And I did. And they were like, they were very put off by both, actually. So I don't know if I accomplished what I needed to. But I think they ended up going to an EMDR. But I think that they were also disappointed because they returned to me and they were like, okay, would you like to try hypnotherapy? And so if I had a greater explanation and understanding that for the client, I think that I would probably get more of them to do hypnotherapy. It's amazing. It's the healing that takes place most of the time astounds me, which is
Yes.
pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And like with EMDR too, if there's like an 8-phase protocol that you go through as well. And most of the time, most people have an hour session, right? It's very hard to get down to the root of the issue in an hour in EMDR because of how long processing takes. So like you can be doing, like you do healing work in that
Right.
hour, but it will take multiple hours to do it unless people are willing to pay for an intensive and dive in deep for 3 or 4 hours, however long like the intensives are.
Yeah.
Therapy, you can do an hour or 90 minutes to however long you want to do, and you can go deeper in that amount of time, and it's a faster healing from me see with my clients and like personally with myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I have had an EMDR therapist tell me that it's not as quick paced. It's just like therapy. You are taking your time, you're getting to the place you need to be. But I've had a lot of clients who have opted to go do that with an EMDR trained therapist, and they have reported back that they had great success. They loved it. They're healed. And so they weren't seeing the EMDR therapist, they weren't seeing me, and by all accounts, they did well. So success stories are also there. So that's good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it definitely works. Like, it wouldn't be as big as it is if it didn't work. But
True.
it just takes longer than hypnotherapy. Like I remember I had done 4 or 5 sessions of EMDR with a client. I did a quick 10-minute relaxation thing with her, and we got deeper. That 10 minutes, and we did in 4 sessions of EMDR. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I know that hypnotherapy's been around a long time, and I know that people view it differently, but if people could just understand that they are in control ultimately, and that they can do amazing things to move forward in their lives through whatever it is, right? I've learned all the stuff like smoking cessation, and I've learned all that stuff too. But that healing trauma, what more could you ask for? That I have a woman, she's seen 5 therapists, and her trauma is so deep and so intense that she just keeps switching therapists because nothing's happening. If she would have found a hypnotherapist a year into her journey of counseling or therapy, the amazing life that this woman could have led, but she ended up in a very bad place because this trauma just was ruling her life.
Yeah, it is so true. And like, just I actually had a consult with someone that he had like complex PTSD, and he's had numerous therapies in the past. Nothing's working. Like things were going on. I'm like, but he's getting on like disability insurance, and I don't take those insurances. So it's like it wasn't gonna work. It was like, if you can figure out the monies, I am more than willing to help you, because I've seen it with my clients that have complex trauma. Like, we go down, like, do a regression to cause with it, right? We go back to all the way back and like healing all of that part of them. And it's like just seeing that catharsis and that just like release of all those the energy and that emotion. It's just so empowering and so amazing. And then they come out of it, it's like, I can't believe I went that far. And all these things came up that I've been repressing for so long. Like,
That's
yeah.
it. There's very few things in my age and what I've been through. There's very few things that make me go, "Oh, that does. Hypnotherapy does." It's just wow. And I wish maybe with this podcast, people will hear us talking how wonderful it is. But most of my clients who've had it done, I've only had 2 who've been like, but also it just like anything else, if you're not ready, it's not going to work. And
Yeah.
I explained that to him. You're truly not ready. You were not 100% on board. You gave into it. So it's your subconscious is powerful.
Yes. It is so powerful. And it's like, even when I do like just a straight relaxation session with people, for people that have been so stressed for so long, they don't know what relaxation feels like.
Yes.
Seeing that with them, it's like just actually watching their shoulders like fully drop down. Yes, like you got to relax finally after years of being keyed up.
Mhm.
Amazing to seeing
Yep.
that
I love it.
transformation.
I love it. When a woman that is local, she's not a licensed therapist, but she is a hypnotherapist. So she's gone through a different hypnotherapy training that focuses on more of that stress type thing. But we're trying to get together to do like group activities, have like maybe 5 or 6 people in a room, not a whole lot, but just to see like the impact that it could make on that small level. And if they want more, of course, then we go into a deeper individual session. But like you say, to watch people when their brow isn't furrowed, their shoulders aren't tight, and it just by having a quick little, because I'm sure that you've learned this too, is just this quick, like 15, 20-minute, we're going to go in, we're going to relax you, we're going to melt some of that stress away, we're going to bring you back, see what you say. Just that is amazing.
Yeah. I did a group hypnotherapy thing at my local library, and it was a group of 8 people. And out of the people that were willing to try, there was a couple of people that didn't really want to go into it. They just sat and listened. The ones that actually did it, just seeing them kind of melt in their chair, which is like just amazing. And then they came out, they're like, wow. Because like these were women that had never had anything like that before. And like, they had no idea what to expect. And so they're just like, yeah, we're going to give this a try. And
Very
it
cool
was
stuff.
amazing.
I love that. I love hearing those healing stories. It's the whole point, right?
Yeah, it really is. So, like, your law enforcement clients, do you feel like they're a little bit more open to it just because of how stressful their lives are on a day to day?
That it's about the same, right? So most people in law enforcement, they believe in the concrete. So if you tell them this wonderful thing could happen, but I can give you hundreds of journal articles to prove the validation of it, but are they going to read those? Do they really care? Is it falling on deaf ears? And so it's that 50-50 where they're like, okay, I'll try it, or no way. It's weird though, because some of my police officers are like, all right, sure. But also their police officers in typical are open to adventure. They're thrill seekers to a level. And so then I get like my EMTs, my paramedics, and they're like, they almost don't trust it. It's just interesting. It's funny how different lifestyles and different people view it. But again, it's that toss up where some are like, yeah, let's do it. And then others like, yeah, I'm not trying that.
Yeah.
And I would say even the first responders, it's the same for them as it is non-first responder clients.
Yeah, I guess it does make sense. Like my husband, he's in the military. So like I see like a mixed bag with that with them, like just even with his friends. Like he's more adventurous, he's more willing to try new things, he's more give me the facts. If it's not like science, even though hypnosis is there's science behind it, it's not just
Yeah,
Western
they're thinking like when they think of science, they're thinking of I mix two chemicals, I see it bubble over.
Yeah.
It's concrete, I can see it. Whereas if I explain to you, it's just like Reiki. If I explain to you what it does, you're like, people just kind of look at me like, okay, I believe you, but they really don't. And my husband, he believes in all kinds of things, but when I tell him I'm going to do Reiki on him, he's okay. He's still half in it, half not, right? And I'm like, yeah, I offer this in my practice, but you're laughing it off. But I laugh things off. It's just that human thing where what are you buying into? What are you believing? What do you find acceptable? I live in the Bible Belt. So this is for some religious factions. This is not okay to do. It's do not do Reiki on me. That's the devil's work. Do not do hypnotherapy on me. That's the devil's work. And then there's a lot of Christians who come and are totally on board for it. So it's across the board, whatever your profession is, whatever your religious, that some people are going to do it and some people won't.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, like you bring up the religion piece, because so many people will always say this isn't Christian, this isn't this is this and this. Okay, but it's also like just a deep meditation. Like you could get in touch with God like really deeply. Is what it is.
That's something I include in all of my hypnotherapy sessions. I ask everyone, is there a higher power you'd like to invite into your session today? So I get all kinds of answers too. My grandma, like their grandmother's passed. I get archangels. I get God. I get universal energy, universal life. Like I get all kinds of statements, but I have had the experience with individuals that when they say, like, for example, one person was like, Archangel Michael. And I was like, okay, like, it's your session, you do it. But it's just always funny to get all these different answers. And they literally had a spiritual experience during their hypnosis, telling me that they saw this being that was full of light. And who am I to say that did not happen? I don't know. But you invited him in. Maybe you saw him. I have no idea. But they were like, I'm going to go to church and pray about this. But it was like a good thing. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to pray about this. It was very like uplifting. This person was so excited like that they got to experience this and they felt renewed. It can be, like you said, you invite them in. You never know. You might touch something energy-wise that you never thought you could.
Yeah, and I believe that 100%. Like I had so many experiences whenever I've been in hypnosis where things have come to me that were not like in my conscious mind at all. I just was letting the energy flow into me, like whatever came, and just like being open to it. And the things that I've seen is like it's astounding. And also personally why I'm also certified in past life regression too, because like I've had those experiences as well. So I'm like all those things come together and it's just
It's
so
amazing how many
healing.
people ask me for past life regression hypnotherapy. I'm surprised by it. Oh, I'm surprised. The type of people too, like I had a CEO and do you do past life regression? with your hypnotherapy? I was like, I do, I can. I was like so surprised that he wanted that. But again, curiosity sometimes rules our progress.
Yeah. Whenever I was going through my training, we did a past life to see if we had a past life where we were like really successful and see what came up. And one of my classmates, they didn't have the traditional success like people think of, like the money, the wealth, the prestige. It was more of like the simple life, the family passing on the the knowledge from the past and all these things that they got that was successful for them. And to him, that's why it's so hard for me to have the money success. No, it's just like you had that in that life. Now this life, you're changing the story and having it be something different that's more yours in this life.
Yeah. It's very cool. Again, like, this is something I could talk about with lots of people all over, and to talk about it with someone who also does it is wonderful because I always learn something. I always get to hear a new story that I've not experienced or seen. And then I'm like, oh, I talked to another hypnotherapist and this is what they saw and did. And it just builds that rapport with the validity of it.
Yeah, and I love it too. Like, and my coach, she's phenomenal, and like I go to her like all the time. Like, hey, this is what's going on. What do I do?
Yeah. Oh, I haven't experienced this before. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a realization session with a client, and I had some verbal check-ins with him, cued into the script, and he got so deep that when I tried to reorient him, I had to do it 10 times to get him to come out because he was so
Wow.
relaxed. And it reminded me of like our first day of class for the certification. I was coming back from vacation. So I got up at 3 o'clock that morning, drove, I was in the car for 6 hours. So I was like really tired. And like we went in and it took me a while to get out too, because I was just so deep and so into it. It's like,
Yeah.
so now I know how hard it is to get someone out whenever they're
Yeah, that's crazy. So I've never heard of that. I have not experienced that. My problem is usually on the front end, which is okay, induction. Deep I'm like into my third deepening, and then they finally are like, I see their body relax and I see their breathing change, and then I'm like, okay, we're here. Damn, it took 3 of them, right? But I haven't had that, and I'm wondering when that will happen to me because I've heard people talk about it.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience. But the first time I did it with him, he wouldn't go in. He intentionally woke himself up because I always give keys to like if you want to come out of it, you can come out of it at any point. And I asked him a question and he like was instantly out of it. We were barely in it. That's
Mhm.
okay. And he would not go back in. I'm like, okay, we can try again another time. And we tried again. And that was next time we tried it, he went so deep.
But that's fantastic for him.
Yeah.
It's so cool stuff. And so he probably felt like $1,000,000 when he was done with that session.
Oh yeah. It was amazing just because he's like a really big dude and just to actually see this big dude finally fully relax. I was like, yes.
It's funny, it's you can't film them and all that, but it's to be able to see some of this without you being the hypnotherapist, right? When you're watching it done on somebody else and I am just always amazed. And right now I have an intern and she's sat in on a couple sessions and when I look over at her, I could see her eyes getting bigger and she's like leaning forward and looking because there you could physically see the change, like you say. That whole you we watch their breathing, you watch like the lip quiver. I don't know if you see that if in a lot of your clients, but you give them the question or you say something to them and their lip starts quivering because it's here. It's got to exit. And that travel from subconscious to conscious to let it out is usually sometimes it's a longer road for some people. And they're like Dot, when you're waiting for the answer to come, you're waiting. But it's so fun. It's so fun.
Yeah, it is so fun. This has been amazing. I feel like we could talk for hours. But before I wrap up, what's like a tip or trick that you'd want to leave people with?
Are we doing this for other therapists or for clients?
Both.
Okay.
So it can be either one.
Other therapists. I had someone say to me when I was in my license, like pre-licensing phase, right? In South Carolina, we have something called LPC. So you're not like fully licensed, you're still under a supervisor, and you're not cut loose on your own. And during that, she said, more than you think. And I was like, yeah, not really. Like in my mind, I was like, not really. But we do. We have these clients. We have been, most of us, even after a year of doing it, it's becoming who we are, right? And
Yeah.
so we know more than we think we do. Be trusting of yourself and your abilities. Even if that trust means I'm going to have to cut this client loose to someone else. We ultimately know when we have to do something different. So you know more than you do. For clients, I always say, I want you to really ask yourself if you want to heal. Do you really want to heal? Because if you do, there's hundreds of options out there for you to heal, right? In our world, there's the hypnotherapy, there's the Reiki. And I say non-traditional means. I don't know where to send them, but I have suggested that people Google and research, like all of these psilocybin and ayahuasca retreats. I don't know. I've never done one, but I have a lot of people come back and tell me amazing things. Do you really want to heal? And if you do, you'll find the thing that works for you. You just have to be open to it.
Yeah, that is so true. And I've had a lot of people tell me about the psilocybin retreats being so healing for them. And like I didn't know a person that has done like 4 or 5, and he's gone to Mexico, Brazil, Haiti, like all these other places for them, and had like crazy healing experiences.
Yeah. We have a couple facilities local that do the ketamine, and I hear amazing things out of them. If it's a well-done program, there is a place that you can go in and it's lined up beds and there's no therapist. You just get your ketamine and lay there. No, don't go to a place like that. Go to a place that has an actual therapeutic process and safety protocol in place. But yeah, there's quite a few places around here that do the ketamine assisted psychotherapy, and it's, again, I see amazing things. So if you want to heal, you can, and your therapist will have the ability to direct you if they can't do it themselves.
Like, not every therapist is the right fit for everyone, but we know other therapists that could be the right fit.
Oh, absolutely. And that's like the whole thing with our ethical code is if I can't do it, I'm going to bring you to someone who can. There's plenty of work out there. There's plenty of people. There's plenty of opportunities. And there's no reason for us to gatekeep for any reason. So if one of my most favorite clients, when she said to me 2 years ago, I need something different. I think we've outgrown each other. She was absolutely right. I was bummed, but she was absolutely right. She went off and did EMDR. And I got a little email from her. I've done EMDR for a year now. It's great. I love it. I'm not attending therapy anymore because of you and her. So it was a beautiful thing. I was bummed, but it was beautiful. So that's what we need to do. We just need to be letting them go.
Well, last question. Where do you prefer people to find you to connect with you to like explore your services?
The easiest thing to do, I think, is probably my website and or one of my social media sites. I have Facebook and Instagram, and it's just the name of my practice, Second Wind Life Services. And then my website is secondwindlifeservices.com. That's the easiest thing to do because then you can explore and look, and all the message systems and everything is on there, emails and phone numbers. But I love to educate people. So if all you simply want is to ask a few questions, I'm down for that.
Awesome. That would be amazing. And all your links will be below in the description of the video to people to easily click on as well. And I always love talking about a hypnotherapist, and just it was so much fun.
Yeah, no, I love it too. I've learned some stuff. Like I said, I'm going to take the EMDR information and use that because I think it's perfect. Yeah. I've never heard it explained that way. So That's ideal.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.